Au revoir.
All right, we are rolling. Welcome again to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks.
Maybe we'll share this one.
Maybe we will share this one. My name is Leah Lodato. I am here with my partner, Lori Lodato. And we are doing a take 2. We did do an episode a few weeks back, and I never released it because I don't really know why. It was like super personal, I felt like.
I don't know. I feel like we got into the room and we were having a conversation and forgot mics were on. So
yeah, we hadn't really seen one another, I think, all day, and it was more like a debrief rather than a
dinner conversation, if you will.
Yes, minus the dinner, add the microphones.
Yeah.
And it was a good episode, and I think I might take a little bit of snippets here and there, especially of things that Laurie said. She offered some really great advice regarding dog training and ownership as well. We talked a little bit about different breeds and some of the challenges of owning breeds.
Oh, I remember
especially
now.
Power
maybe
breeds.
We won't.
And maybe, well, I think that there was some nuggets there. Really great stuff. Anyway, it is Memorial Day today. By the time you're listening to this, it will probably be tomorrow or
the day after Memorial
long in the
Day.
Future. So thank you to all of those who serve in our military. And today we remember those who lost their lives for our freedom. And we are very, very grateful for that. So I just wanted to mention that and give our thanks. And this podcast is going out to Jonathan and Caesar. Laurie's cousin Jonathan let me know this weekend that he listens to the podcast on their morning walk the day after it comes out, and we really appreciate that. So if you're walking with Caesar, Jonathan, hello, and it was great to see you this
That's
weekend.
because my cousins are the best cousins.
Yeah, I
just mine.
Wish
just
that
kidding.
They lived closer.
I know. I missed everyone. We had a family wedding this weekend, and it was great to see everyone, and makes me realize how happy I am when I'm around them, and yeah, I miss them all.
Yes.
Plus, we haven't seen each other in a long time because of that damn COVID.
Yeah, that really...
That's really coming back with full force. I had 3
know.
people cancel in one day because they all tested positive for COVID that day.
Yes, yesterday I was supposed to have a gig. I play in a jazz band called Combo, and we had a big gig booked at the Burn in Somerville, which
Huge.
I was really looking forward to. I was also surprised at how many people bought tickets, it being a holiday weekend, but people were really excited to go. And
Yep.
a couple of our band members woke up yesterday and got the 2 solid lines, so we had to cancel last minute, which was a mighty drag.
Oh, I thought it was only one.
Yeah, no, Jara and Stacy, I believe. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know if Stacy is positive, but they are married. So
They share.
it's a matter of time.
Things. Yeah.
I remember when I tested positive, you didn't even try to stay away from me.
Nah.
It was just like going to happen.
Just get it over with at that point, and it wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't the worst it could be. I know some people had really bad cases. I did lose my taste and smell, which was irritating to me. It was like the one side effect I didn't want, and then I was tired and cranky, but that's kind of a constant, so you never know if that was COVID or just who I am as a human.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
But it was nice yesterday. It's been a little bit of a laid back weekend. I got to hang out with the dogs, do some training with Rhonda. We had 2 little training sessions. I got to play with her in the yard. I got to practice my Frisbee, and I made a boatload of food that was all eaten by family members. I got to grill. I made my favorite cut of steak.
The Lodatos aren't afraid to eat.
No, and it's wonderful to cook for so many people that enjoy food because everything I make they think is the best thing ever.
Yeah,
which is really nice.
Yeah, they love everything. So when you cook for someone and then they are so exuberant and so happy eating it and just so thankful, you want to cook for those people.
100%.
Yeah, my family loves food.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've been dieting since I came out of the womb.
Yes, I got to cook my favorite cut of meat, which is picanha, and I get it from the Brazilian butcher in Woburn. Thankfully, they know me by now that I don't speak Portuguese, so I'm able to...
What's their name of their place?
Order. It's called Casa Nova.
In Woburn.
In Woburn Center.
We should give them a shout out.
Yes, shout out to Casa Nova in Woburn Center. They have a bakery on one side, so they have your pão de queijo, which is the bread with cheese stuffed in
Bless
it.
you.
And thank you. And all of the delicious kind of coconut cream, evaporated condensed milk, chocolate goodies on one side. And then on the other side, they have a butcher, and they have wonderful slices of meat that you can't really get in an American grocery store. So I really like to get picanha. It's a really tender cut of meat with like a pretty thick fat back on it. So it's kind of, I think as Americans, we look at it like, well, that's what it's called. It's like a layer of fat on
Baby
the
gut back.
top of it. And
We all have that too.
you just don't eat it when you enjoy it, and just kind of throw the fatty part away. And but I think that some people look at the fatty part and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to eat that, but it's delicious.
I'm a fan of J&B Butchers.
In Stoneham, yeah,
wings
you like them.
No, in Tewksbury.
Oh, you like their wings
I like
versus
the Tewksbury
Casanova?
location. Yeah.
Oh, I like the Casanova wings. I also like the price of the Casanova wings too.
I like the flank steak over at J&B.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, food and family.
That's right.
Those two things go together. I went to Granite State Working Dog Club's trial yesterday.
Yeah, Schutzhund trial.
Yep. They got, I think there were 4 or 5 BHs and 1 Schutzhund, 1 dog. And it was pretty great to be around everyone again. I haven't been there in a while because I feel like our house has just been plagued by sickness. I don't know, it like started in the new year and just didn't stop. And Mom and Dad got sick, and then I was sick for 2 or 3 weeks with like this never-ending mild cold, and then you got sick with the flu, and you're just finishing that up, and I'm hoping that that's behind us and we can move on and just feel better.
Yes.
It's been like
crazy.
It's been a little much lately.
I was glad that you got to get up there with the Granite State Working Dog Club. We were going a lot during COVID because we didn't have classes booked or anything like that on the weekends, and now I haven't been able to go because if you go, I stay home. If I'm coming back from Frisbee on Sunday, so we haven't really got a chance to go together.
I haven't been able to go. It's too many dogs and too many responsibilities, and this is why if you're thinking of titling a dog, or even if it's in the 8KC ring or it's Schutzhund, you just need so much time, and me having all this extra work, you really question how much time you can dedicate to a dog. And then Rhonda came along, and she definitely takes time away from me training Buddha, which is frustrating, but it's like everything's taking away training time because I'm focused on it's like everything else.
Yeah.
Not even just dogs, like running a house or like taking care of family things, or I don't know.
Yeah, you came back from the trial yesterday and said Buddha can totally get an IPO1, and I said, well, what are you going to sacrifice in your other training to go to? Like, do we sacrifice rally? Do you sacrifice your TDI visits? You kind of can't do everything, so it's...
And I need to train with somebody for
IPO
specific things. So I need to find time with that, and then you're wondering who the best person to reach out to is. Everybody has their own gift, and then listening to everyone and how they train things was getting so frustrating for me. There's always like a core foundation to teach behaviors, but everyone has different ways that they use the electric collar. They have different ways they use the prong. They have different ways they use the clicker, and after a while you're just like, I mean, you wouldn't say it, but you just want everyone to just shut up so you can try to figure out all these different ways that you can make it work. And then your dog reacts differently to some things. And if you mess up, you have to fix it right away. And I don't know. It was just all of a sudden I felt overwhelmed. Like, I enjoyed it, and I was a spectator, and I was finally sitting down and just watching.
Yeah, soaking it in.
It was nice. But then my mind started to go crazy of, what do I need to do? How can I even get here? Everyone has Malinois and Shepherds, and I don't know. There was a little Rottweiler though, and she was so cute, happy to be there, happy to do her obedience.
What was her level of competition?
She was just getting her BH.
Yep.
She was so cute.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some really
She
good
got a
friends.
little sniffy.
Shout out to our friend Shauna, who passed her BH yesterday.
Yep. Shauna and Psych.
Shauna and Psych. That's awesome. And Shauna got her
Canine Good Citizen
Canine
with
Good
me
Citizen with you
the week before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's been working hard with her German Shepherd. It's really cool to see. And what have I been doing? I did the first of 2 disc seminars with Hannah Lauren Corey at Boston for the Dogs. And the first seminar went really well. Super happy about that. Ruben, my little mixed breed dog, and I compete in toss and fetch, and we do some up dog games here and there, but I love playing Frisbee with him, and he really likes to play Frisbee. And Hannah had posted in our Trainer Sporting Trainers group that she was looking for someone to help out with discs, so we had connected over that. And yeah, I did a couple of short sessions just to get people going. I think it should be said that I am by no means an expert at disc. My dog loves to play, but he wouldn't be a, with quotations, disc dog. He is really good at catching if I do a good job at throwing. So I was able to get down to Hannah and Corey's, and we had a great group of people for the first time around, made some real progress with their dogs, which was cool to see. And it really forced me to look at playing disc from a really pragmatic point of view, because sometimes when you go to a seminar, which I have been to for disc, the instructor is usually somebody who's really well versed in things like freestyle, which is basically a combination of every type of skill that you can have with disc. So it involves different throws from the handler, different tricks from the dog, and you can put together any type of freestyle routine that you want. But it basically is kind of like I don't want to say cream of the crop, but it's just a culmination of all the skills that you have to build on. So what I tried to do in these little sessions was just break down what exactly we're asking our dog to do when they retrieve a disc, and how can we as a handler set them up for success by practicing our throws. And for most people, the toughest part about playing disc with their dog is practicing throwing so their dog can actually catch the disc. And so we were able to practice our throws. We were able to practice with the dogs, and it was a great time. And our second session starts up on June 5th. So I'm excited to do that. Just two little mini sessions, again, just to get people's feet wet thinking about playing disc with their dog and opening a new way for people to do enriching stuff and fun stuff with their dog. So I was really happy and blessed to be able to do that. I ordered a really cool backstop for our yard, so now I don't have to go all the way to the field to practice my throws, which is cool. And Laurie was experimenting last night.
I like that thing a lot.
Getting some throws in.
I'm only a short throw.
Yeah, short
I
throws.
can't do the long ones right over the fence. I mean, it looks pretty when it's flying through the air, but not when a tree catches it.
Yeah.
Buddha liked it, but he's just so big. I was just wondering when he was going to hurt himself.
Yeah, we actually talked about that during the seminar, because Hannah Laura had asked me to talk about athleticism in your dog and the way that they're built. And one of the things that you have to make sure of is that your dog's not fat. So that's the number one thing, because with disc, if dogs are really into it, they're going to jump to get the disc. So when they land,
he flies.
Yeah, when they land,
He
there's, a certain amount of force that's going to go down on their joints. So if your dog's a little bit overweight, it's not a good thing. And then your big bone breeds are not going to be able to repeatedly catch a flying Frisbee. And some dogs are going to be really committed, like Buddha, for example. If you throw it, he will try to get it, even if it's a really bad throw, or even if it's too high, or if it's in a pile of weeds or thorns. Like, he'll go in there and try to get it. And there's nothing wrong with that level of commitment, but it puts more onus on you as the person who's throwing to be able to place it perfectly for a dog like that, where a dog like Ruben, for example, is athletic, will catch, but he, if I threw it and I was on the grass and it went into the woods, he wouldn't run into the woods and
Buddha's
try to
like,
get
I'm
it.
going to go get it.
Exactly. So I'm very lucky in that way with Ruben, because I can make a bad throw and he'll just be like, yeah, Ma, that was a bad throw, instead of trying to jump like a crazy person in the air and then land on his back and hurt himself. So in one way, it's a good thing. And another way, it's not so good of a thing, because sometimes I will have a really good throw or a very catchable throw, and sometimes he doesn't try so hard for it. So it's something that we're working through. But regardless, if you're going to play these type of athletic games with your dog, you want to make sure that your dog is in great physical shape, because it does put a lot of pressure on their joints. So yes, most dogs will like to at least chase and catch a roller. But if you have a big boned Mastiff or Rottweiler or a really big, heavy lab, it might not be the best game for them. So if you're interested in checking out this seminar, let me know. If I'm not doing one, there are a bunch of people that come to the area regularly. I did a great one at New England Canine Athlete with Bonnie Scott, who is an unbelievable handler, and she has really, really cool dogs. And there's also an older woman that we do toss and fetch with, and back in the day, she was one of the premier freestyle handlers. She has border collies, and she's really, really talented. So I've done some work with her too, and I'm lucky to be in good company with talented disc dog people. So
yeah, we had the fence guy come this
that's what I've been
weekend,
doing.
or this week, and to fix some broken panels. You know, one would think that white vinyl fencing is super strong.
It's not.
I gotta tell you, it's just not. And then if the ground shifts, the panels kind of open up. And believe me when I say this, folks, just get it fixed when you see something. Don't wait for them to start falling apart. And he said to me, it's, this is kind of, is there a lot of pressure on this at this particular point in the fence? And I said, yeah, a 95-pound Rottweiler playing with a jolly ball in the yard.
Oh, really?
And then I throw it, and he
Bounces off, and
his booty slams off of it. So we had to fix that. I mean, I'm not going to throw the ball carefully so that he doesn't. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you have
we have a
dogs.
yard to
Things
play in. But man, chain link holds up so much better with the bottom and top rail than these white fences.
Yeah. I hate the gates of the white fences.
The bigger the gate, the harder they sag.
And it's like every year we have to get the fence guy
I have to get an adjustment.
to get the poles adjusted, because what happens is over time the gates are heavy, so they sag, and you can't open and shut the door anymore. And it's like there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. And it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to do this every year. And
I'd go for a privately owned fence company over a larger one any day. They're just more careful when they put the posts in. They make sure they screw all the panels in. I feel like bigger companies don't do that, and they Mickey Mouse things. And so I found a nice private guy to help fix kind of what the big company did. But we'll always have an issue with those huge like farm gates almost.
Yep.
Because of how the land is.
Yep.
And if you have chain link fencing, there's something called privacy screening on Amazon, and it's amazing. You know how back in the day they used to put those slats through the chain link fence, and they got moldy,
like
ugly. You knew an Italian lived there. You can really get this privacy fencing, black privacy screens. They hold up with zip ties. They really hold up well in the New England weather, and they cut off stimulation to the outside. So privacy screening from Amazon.
Yeah, and if the dogs are in the yard, it helps cut down on the barking because they can't see.
They can't see anything.
And also, nosy neighbors don't have anything to complain / be nosy about if they can't see
and
inside
we know
the yard.
All us trainers don't want anyone seeing anything that we do, or knowing how many dogs you would have anywhere.
Yeah. Yes, we like privacy, and most people do. So we, the privacy screening is great. Nice 6-foot fence.
Looks neat.
I love the white fence,
clean.
But man, it is.
Pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the neck, and it's high maintenance. So
what do you call those white sponges I love? What the hell are they called? Oh, the magic eraser.
Oh yeah.
That's the only stuff that gets the
fungus off of it.
That gets the white again.
Yeah, the white fences if they're in the shady spot, it's like the shady spot of a roof where there's like this fungusy moss that grows on it. It's super gross. But anyway,
that's about fencing and screening and family and food and disc.
Yeah, and disc. And is there anything you want to talk about specifically today, Laura?
You just said you wanted to do a podcast, so I sat down.
Yeah, I wanted to talk
with
a little
your new
bit.
mics, which is why we're really having this podcast.
We didn't get new mics. I got new mic stands for the home office. So before I had,
they are sharp. It's a lot sharper.
Okay, admit it takes up less room.
Oh yeah, this is way better. This is a lot neater. I'm all for neat.
Yes. So I got it almost looks like one of those desk lamps back in the day that kind of swiveled. What's the name of the Imagine, the movie company? I think it is. When you start a movie and they have the desk lamp and it swivels. Pixar, yeah, that's right. Okay.
The eye.
Yeah, that's
Imagine?
I messed up. Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry, Pixar.
I mean, it is Pixar.
So anyway, that's what they look like, and they're very compact when we're not working on the podcast. And I wanted to have permanent equipment because I do use this stuff for music, and I was kind of getting a drag to have to like dismember it every single time. And I would like to have a space where Laurie and I could just get an idea in our head and quickly come up here and get it done. So that's the idea behind these new spiffy.
It's looking sharp in here, Leah. It's looking very clean.
Yeah, I feel
and orderly.
I feel like it is.
There's a hot to trot mess there for a while.
Yeah, sometimes it can get a little nuts in here.
I can't imagine why.
Well,
you got a lot of stuff.
I need to.
It's like a new Amazon box every day.
No, it is.
Or a new Sweetwater.
Absolutely not.
It absolutely is.
It's absolutely.
It is every time. There's a box for Leah outside. I don't even bring it in. I'll clean everything, and then the box comes in, and I just
die inside
a little bit.
So what was on my mind today was I did a class with an owner, and they had 2 dogs, older dogs, and had done training with another trainer before. And very rarely do I walk into somebody's house and kind of immediately start the training, because 9 times out of 10, I do the puppy classes. So Laurie would be a bit more experienced than I, so she sometimes handles the behavior cases, etc. So I do more of the easy peasy puppy classes, and what I instruct the owner to do is to rest their dog in the crate for about 45 minutes before I arrive. So when I get to their home, I kind of see the lay of the land. I'm able to address any questions that they have right off the bat and not have to have the dog out, so we can really focus on household management. Just make sure that the crate's in the right spot and it's close enough to the door, and the dogs haven't peed all over the carpet, and try to get any questions answered, because it can be overwhelming to have a puppy.
No.
But this particular class, the dogs were 2 adult dogs and just needed some guidance on some very specific things. And so when I walked into the house, it was kind of like, okay, we need to start this straight away. And I handed the woman the clicker and we started priming the clicker. And she was really set up, had her food, was trying to basically contain the dogs. Her dogs are reactive at the door, so she was asking her dogs to lay down. And basically, I started to think about the clicker and the value of the clicker, and how a lot of people are getting away from using the clicker because of convenience, but it's a tool that Laurie and I use for every dog that comes through our training program. Some dogs are really sound sensitive with the clicker. I know you came to class the other day and the owner had a clicker, and you said, "Oh my God, that clicker is so cute." And we had tried to use the conventional clicker box, and it was just a little loud. The dog was very sensitive. So
we use Clicker Company. I think they have the best clickers. I
do too.
They sound loud enough, but
right. And
believe it or not, some dogs jump out of their skin when they hear it, which already, if the dog's jumping out of their skin with a clicker sound, I'm like, oh, this is going to go smoothly.
Right.
I can tell.
Right.
So those are the classes where you're exhausted at the end because you were just putting yourself out there and trying to get behaviors. Or
right.
I put it in the parents' hand because they like them more, and I'm like, all right, let's just do this.
Right. And so I asked the client, and I said, have you used marker training before? And basically it was the same answer that I always get from people that are kind of returning to training, where it was maybe introduced but faded
in the beginning.
Right, faded very quickly, because I think in people, and this is no fault of the person I was working with or anything like that, but it is a trend that I see a lot, is that our brain doesn't understand that clicker is truly a bridge in between the behavior and the food. And what the click does is it creates anticipation for the food. So if my dog sits and I just feed them, they are happy, with quotation marks, I'm simplifying this a lot, because they received food and they're ingesting it. If my dog sits and I have primed the clicker and I click, there's an anticipation from the time that I click to the time that they get paid. And what that does is it creates it's called a secondary reinforcer, but basically when we click that when they hear that noise and between the time they get paid, there's anticipation building up to the point where it's almost as valuable to the dog as getting paid.
The clicker creates a bridge
Right.
between marking it as correct and then the food coming. So parents are always quick to try to fish out the food because you should just have the food ready in your hand. But I always tell them, don't rush. Click first, then reward. Stop worrying about the reward because all we're doing is putting out here, folks, this positive reinforcement. But you can wait a second. Calm down, dog.
Right. And in that second,
The food's coming.
the dog really understands that the food is coming, so we can kind of capitalize on that anticipation and help our dogs work through things other than just behaviors, but we can also help them work through things like reactivity, door barking, all the, a lot of things that sometimes we, or not us, but other people, other trainers maybe, will turn to, correction as like their first mode of trying to fix the quote unquote problem. But if you are able to use the clicker, you're able to prime the clicker, and all priming the clicker means is you click and then deliver
And feed.
food so that the dog understands, okay, every time I hear this noise, there's going to be food coming. That's all that priming the clicker is. Once the dog understands that, we can start applying it we can apply it to behavior. We can also apply it to emotional stimulus too, if the dog is reactive to other dogs or animals and yada yada. So that's why, and it's a super boiled down definition, but that's why we are so adamant about using the clicker versus a verbal marker. And for sure we use verbal marker. Like we use all done to replace the clicker. That's our release command, and that's how we start to feed the food for behaviors. But there are certain behaviors that I'll still click and feed my own dogs. Like a big one is recall when we're off leash in the woods because, most dogs, right, they're going to be stimulated when they see another dog. So even to this day, if Ruben's off the leash and I call him and he comes to me and there's another dog, I'll click and feed him. I always have a clicker in my little fanny pack with me. So I continue to use it even though our dogs are adult dogs. And there are no secrets when it comes to dog training. It's just a matter of getting yourself into these habits and then continuing to do them without kind of falling off and saying, oh, I used to use the clicker, but I stopped doing that because whatever the reason is, I could never remember to put it in my pocket, or I lost it, or I thought my dog knew the
I can't hold so many
behavior.
things in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to work it, which is astounding because we know how to work so many things, electronics, but can't handle a clicker. The way we use the clicker is it marks the behavior as correct. It means a reward is to follow, and now you can get up off your ass. The dog has finished the behavior, and now they can stand up to get the food from you as close to your body as possible. We have the dog walk as close to our body as possible to receive the reward because we want them to know that being around us is the best place to be. And if you're putting out, I always say this, the least the dog can do is walk up to the buffet and get it. And it leads to a dog who just comes up to you. And if I make it a 1, 2, 3 step, sit, then you click, then you feed. I say it to the person all the time so they'll stop trying to use the food as a bribe. I feel like that if I say it that simply to people, that they'll get the mechanics down so that the dog actually starts to learn to pause before they sit in it. So people will say, oh, my dog will, they'll sit and they'll lay down, but they won't hold it. And it's because parents are so quick to click. They just have to give the dog a minute. In the beginning, when the dog's learning the behavior, you want to click right away because it's a puppy and it's most likely the puppy is going to break the behavior and they can't settle into it unless it's a lazy mastiff or, just a dog who's a little slower. Usually it's a mastiff. That's why I say any big dog breeds tend to be a little slower to pop up. Whereas if it's a small dog, no, you got to be quicker. And then after a while, you can work on delaying the click to delay the behavior. And then if you say the command 10 out of 10 times and the dog does it, we remove the clicker and we start saying the word all done. Sometimes we'll use the clicker as a continuation for on-leash walking, but for the most part, I've always used it like that. So I know some trainers who don't use the click as an end point. I always do. You don't get up until I click. You don't get up until I say all done.
Terminal marker.
And if they
use the
do,
clicker as a terminal marker, always.
Your little scientific words.
You have to these days. So everybody's calling you out, and nobody's calling me out.
Nobody's calling.
Everybody that listens to the podcast knows. I didn't get too scientific on the podcast because I want to have practical advice.
Terminal sounds so.
Terminal and the behavior.
Yeah, all I picture is like pulling the plug.
That's what you're doing. You're pulling the plug on the behavior.
Pulling the plug.
It's over.
Get up.
It's over.
Some parents will be like, "What does all done mean?" I'm like, "It means they're
you are
all done. You can get up. You can party. You can do whatever you want."
One of the analogies I use a lot is, when you're a little kid and mom says, "Hey, Johnny, come over and help me load the dishwasher." And at the end, they put their hands in there and go, "All done." Start clapping and go back to play, right? So that's kind of the analogy that most people can wrap their mind around when you're asking your little kid to do a little job, like put all their toys back in the toy box, and then you're like, all done. Okay.
I always clap for myself when I finish the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And laundry.
Never ending. Never ending. If you have dogs, that dishwasher is full and that laundry is going.
Sometimes I make myself wash all the dog bowls.
You almost waste water by washing all the dog bowls by hand, I feel like. Because the dog bowls can just go straight into the dishwasher. You don't have to rinse them off because they're completely clean. So unless I need them right away for that meal, I'll try to get them in there right after the dog eats. Is this news to you and you're upset that I do this?
What do you mean? No.
Do you want me to rinse them?
That you put them in the dishwasher?
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
There's nothing
I just
left
care
on
that they're
them.
clean. I don't like things on the counter. I have OCD.
The dogs that stay here,
I've had dogs forever. I don't leave shit on the counters that will tempt the dog to jump on the counter for the 1 second. I'm not looking at them.
I know.
Crazy
Yesterday,
ass Rhonda, I
had
can't even
wings and steaks on the counter.
I die every time.
I had them pushed all the way back. But I remember when Laura and I first started dating, I had made burgers, and this golden retriever named Hunter just bonused out.
No, I ripped it out of his mouth. I got so mad.
Burger patty.
I was so
while
mad.
I had my back turned. I've never seen Laurie so mad.
I was fast. I ripped it right out.
But it could have been my fault because I was not really paying attention.
No.
I was in La La Land. That's what happens when you're in love, You don't pay attention to stuff like that.
What a spin. Oh, come on.
I'm just trying to impress you with a fat, juicy burger.
No, if you want to woo me, you would have put the burger way in the back.
I put it in the oven until they were ready to go on the grill, right?
I'll never forget way back in the day, honey. Long before you ever showed up, I was this woman had approached me. I was like, oh, she's attractive. She seems nice. And then I saw her work her dog, and I'm like, she is the most unattractive woman I ever saw in my life. Yeah, no. People lose their
charm once I pick up that leash.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, lately I've just been realizing how I've been doing little training sessions with a trainer over video who's helping me with food luring, which has been really fun and interesting with my little puppy Rhonda. And a lot of the stuff that we're doing isn't going to translate perfectly because I'm hoping to do AKC obedience with her, rally and competition obedience, and sometimes the speed at which we're working on luring or the closeness of the dog to my body, etc., is maybe not ideal for those type of sports. But one of the things that it is teaching me is just to be more self-conscious of where my body is and where the dog is. And I've been doing a lot of videotaping, and usually when I train Rhonda, it's for 5 minutes. I take a half a cup of the food and we use that for training, and then training sessions over. So I videotape myself on my cell phone so I can see. And it's just made me realize how tactile the dog training is and how I miss things, even though I quote unquote know what I'm doing. And it's been a really nice exercise because it makes me realize what people are going through when, I say things like, okay, after you click, make the dog get up and like move your hand a little bit so they have to push your hand to get the food or make a little bit more of an effort to get the food, and how difficult that is for some people because we're constantly living in our minds. And a lot of times people sit all day at work and they're on their computers and they have headphones on and they're not interacting with the physical world. And then they come to a dog training class and 100% of what we do is physical. And it's really challenging for people sometimes. So it's been a nice little wake-up call for me to work with somebody else, and not necessarily for them to teach me something that I don't already know, but more to like critique the way that I look and the way that I'm, working with my dog. Because sometimes, even though Laurie knows all this stuff already, it can be difficult to receive criticism or stuff like that from your partner. And a lot of what I
take note, married dog trainer couples.
Yeah, and a lot of what I have learned from Laurie has come from her observing other people. I'm sorry, from me observing her train other people and not necessarily from her critiquing me personally.
I try not to ever, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I accept it totally, but
I'd rather not.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like that's just a choice that we've made in our relationship. And, so she's not mansplaining to me, and I do a good job of
mansplaining. I don't mansplain.
That's what I'm saying. So you're not mansplaining.
Just the phrase is so wretched.
But you've seen it. Like you've seen
I don't want to
dog trainer.
You can't boss around your spouse like that without it having some kind of effect
exactly.
on your
That's going to come out sideways somewhere else, and it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, it's going to be like at midnight. Excuse me. I would like to address something we talked about this afternoon. When you made me feel less than, I'm not doing it. We're going to talk about this later. Phrases that make people in a couple want to die. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to talk about something later. We'll talk about it when you get home. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. The doggies are erupting down there. Oh, you know why? You just knocked.
Honest to God.
Yeah. We're right.
I thought they were brighter than that.
We're right above them.
Morons.
It's Ruben.
I know.
He gets them all going.
It's always Ruben.
Yeah. Ruben, nobody could even come close to this place.
Everybody's fine. And then they're like, Ruben's worried. Ruben's like, there's a situation. There's no situation. Calm down.
My poor dog, every time I come home, he can hear my car from the bottom of the street. And he starts losing his mind. And we've gotten better. It's not quite as bad as it is once he actually does see me, but he definitely is. He alerts the media when there's something different in the environment, which I personally appreciate quite a bit.
He alerts TMZ.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Sometimes I go to people's homes and they're like, "Well, he barks at the door." I'm like, "Well, good. I mean, don't you want your dog to bark when somebody's here?"
Oh, I don't have that reaction at all. I'm like, I say that's fine,
but
if
he
I
stop?
say, "Okay, get over here."
Yep.
Come to my side, then that's fine. You can bark, but you can't stand there like a tool barking at everything. There just has to be a reason.
Right. Yeah.
And if you
totally.
say quiet and move along, they have to be quiet and move along. I mean, plus if dogs are nervous wrecks and you just let them bark the whole time, oh my Lanta, you're just getting that dog even more nervous. Who's at the door? Is that the mailman? Who's that? Is that mommy? Is that daddy? He acts like such a tool when people come home. I'm like, that's because you do. Stop doing that. Stop making everything else interesting.
Yeah.
Make yourself interesting.
The whole, who's it? Who's that, mommy?
Yeah.
Who's coming? Oh, is she coming down the stairs? And it's something that I even catch myself not doing it like that, but like if you come around the corner and I have Rhonda, I like look around and I look at her. I look at you.
Yeah, you're speaking to her with your eyeballs.
I know. I do. She's so cute.
All trainers do that.
I know. She's so independent, this dog.
Speak to them with your balls. What?
She's so independent, and this dog picks up everything. She's a true lab. Everything goes in the mouth.
If there's 20 toys,
she
looks
goes
at
through
you,
all of them to find the most interesting, and then tries to eat your shoes. I had my cell phone in my pocket, my sweatpants. She came over to me and was trying to get it out of my pocket.
Pickpocket.
She is.
That'll come in handy later.
She is. And she's a little pipsqueak of a thing. She's not very big. She's not very big. She's not
Good old Rhonda.
Yeah, she's not a big girl. And we're
Just
trying to be
another
conscious
puppy in the world.
trying to be conscious of the food because
I went to the woods with her for the first time this weekend
Mm.
with Buddha. So she didn't go far. She just hung out with her brother.
Yeah, she has
Bothering him.
really nice pack drive.
Just bothering him.
Yep.
She's like, what are you sniffing? What do you have?
I'm gonna come sniff that too.
You want to come over here and smell this plant with me? No? Where are you? Okay. The whole walk's just, I feel like he looked at me and thought, I thought this was just us. I thought it was just us.
I know. I take Ruben with her to the farm. They do really well because there's a lot of open space. And when we go to the woods, I have taken her with him to the woods a few times, but I do let him go a little bit farther away because his pack drive is just a little bit further. And because he is so obedient, I do allow him to explore. So it's probably going to be another couple weeks before I bring her out with him again. And, I do that a lot. Like I'm day training a dog right now for off-leash obedience and just confidence building, some gameplay stuff. We are working on obedience too, but, he's a flight risk around his home, so we're trying to reset a bunch of stuff. And I very deliberately picked a dog for him to go on a hike with this week. I picked Teddy and another doodle, and her pack drive is just so strong. Like she literally will not go farther than 30 feet ahead of me before she stops and turns around and looks for me. And and she also doesn't put up with any BS because she's a little bit of an older dog and I'm training a younger dog. So like a less than 2-year-old dog. And when he tries to interact with her, she just shuts him right down. She's almost like, listen, we're just walking here. Don't get too excited. Yeah. And so, I really am deliberate about who I choose for training if I'm going to pick a dog to go out on a hike with a dog that's inexperienced. And then maybe after a few more weeks go by, I'll take him with Ruben because I know that Ruben's going to go a little farther and it will help me to proof the dog I'm training a little bit further. So I think a lot about those type of things when I work one-on-one with the dogs and also when I'm trying to work on off-leash obedience, because to me, off-leash obedience is just a numbers game. It's just, building those good habits when you're in the woods and following through every single time, regardless of whether or not you're using any tools. It doesn't matter if you have electric collar on the dog or not. Those habits are what's going to keep you, keep your dog safe and keep them close by. So I do put a ton of thought into stuff like that. And with Ruben, I just let him go because every single time I call that dog, he comes back to me. So I want to give him the chance to explore. And, he goes into prey drive quite a bit on a hike. He's got his nose down. He's looking.
I don't like them to be far off because I don't know what they're eating and I'm not dealing with that.
He doesn't need anything.
I want the dogs to be near me all the time. But Rhonda will. She'll hoover everything in the earth up.
It's true. Very
and
true.
I'm not doing it. I'm not dealing with it.
Yeah, very true.
Not.
Yeah, she's puts everything in the mouth.
I know that she's going to be one of those dogs that just eats everything. She's a lab.
Yes. Anyway, well, we just wanted to put this out there for you guys. Keep everything rolling here for the podcast. Hopefully the next time you hear from us, we will have another guest, which would be really nice. And I've just kind of committed to keeping this whole project as casual as possible. And if you have any questions, you can let us know.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely, we'll talk about it.
Topics.
Mm-hmm. Somebody had commented on one of the posts that I had written. I think it was the balanced dog, and said that we should talk about introducing younger dogs to older dogs, which is something that we're going through right now. And I think that would be a lovely conversation to have with Laurie or somebody else. So I might dig into that topic next time. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and share the podcast with your friends if you're into what you hear, and we will see you next time.
See ya.